Hi everyone. As promised, I did say I was gonna read some snippets from the book Until the Last Breath. And today I want to look at page 80. It's entitled To Love Thyself. And we often hear people say, just love yourself and everything's going to be fine, or as long as you love yourself. The problem with that is, how can we love ourselves if we might be filled with disappointment or hatred or rejection or bitterness? How can we love ourselves if we are filled with such entangling emotions? It's impossible. How can one love themselves if they hate themselves? How can one love themselves if they feel hated or disliked by people around them? This often happens now on social media, people getting likes and dislikes and haters, etc., and people getting bullied. So you can't just tell someone to love themselves, because it's not going to happen, right? So something needs to happen to the soul for that to really be a possibility. In page 80, I talk about an event that happened 2,000 years ago in the text. As I've said, I use the text from all different walks of life. In this story, this woman was being chased and potentially stoned to death. Her name was Mary, and she was being accused of adultery. She'd been caught. And according to the old man-made laws of the time, if you were caught in adultery, they would stone you. So anyway, she was running and she was being chased by these religious leaders of the time, and they were saying, stone her, stone her. And they brought her to Yeshua, Jesus. And she was kind of just on her hands and knees, and they were picking up stones and saying, what do you think we should do to this woman? This woman, according to the law of Moses, should be stoned. And Yeshua did something quite remarkable. He paused, and then he wrote on the ground, as though he was the very finger that was writing the 10 Commandments. And in that pause, there was a space, and I will come back to that in a second. He then said, he who's without sin cast the first stone. And slowly but surely, the stones began to touch the earth. And each and every person that was there wanting to stone her was left feeling, I can't stone her. I myself have made mistakes, committed errors. And so they threw the stones down, and Mary was left with Jesus. And she looked at him, and he looked at her. Now, I want to pause there, because I know for a fact, being filled with destructive emotions, disappointment, rejection, people that walk away, people that falsely accuse you, you may not feel so loved in this world. You may not feel so appreciated and valued by the people around you. It's very difficult to love thyself. But the pause that Jesus did created the space for that truth to arrive, for that truth to work, for that truth to speak and release its power. And so I never tell people just to love themselves first. I always say, find the space in stillness and allow the voice of truth to come forward, and allow the voice of truth to speak to you, and allow the voice of truth to set you free. It is truth that sets you free, just in the same way that we see in this story. Mary is being hounded by the voice of accusers, hating her, wanting her dead, wanting to stone her. And they bring her to the voice of truth. And he creates this pause, this space. And this pause and this space is really important for our soul, especially when we're being hounded, especially when we're being surrounded, right? This sense of allowing things to be for a second, dropping everything, gives the voice of truth the space to speak. And when the voice spoke, the voice of truth spoke, the stones came tumbling down. And Mary was able to breathe and receive the truth, thus receiving love. So you cannot love thyself unless you are truthful with yourself. You cannot love thyself without truth, because where there is love, there is truth first. And how do you access that truth? How does one access that truth, especially when they're being surrounded? A pause, a stop. Allowing the internal voice of truth the space to come forward and speak. And this is probably the most important lesson in discovering how to love oneself. Allowing the truth in the moment to speak to you. Allowing the voice of reality to speak to you. Because it's that truth that sets you free. And then when you are free, it is much easier to love yourself. Here I discuss this in page 80. I hope you will buy one. You can buy it on Amazon. And I hope it will give you the same joy it's given so many people. See you soon.